Now, this one is definitely interesting. It's a must watch. It's an interview that Robert Kennedy Jr. did with the Daily Express. Now, Kennedy is a US presidential candidate in the upcoming elections, and he praised Andrew Bridgen as a freedom fighter. He believes he's a hero. Let's go to this interview. It's a couple of minutes. He talked about the rise of the globalist elite and the lockdown lunatics and all the other control freaks. And at the end, he also talks about Andrew Bridgen.
I felt that there's been we saw in the beginning of 2020, in the spring of 2020, all of the liberal democracies in Europe, in North America, Canada, the United States, Australia, and elsewhere in New Zealand suddenly pivot and impose what I would call totalitarian controls, begin this kind of attack on civil rights, beginning with free speech. Yeah. In our country, it went quickly from free speech to you close all the churches for a year without any kind of scientific citation or public process, and you shut down jury trials, which is protected by the Seventh Amendment. Without any, and there's no pandemic exemption in the United States Constitution, and I don't think there's one in Britain either.
No.
And then they closed all the businesses, so that's a property right that's protected by the Fifth Amendment. They closed the businesses without just due process or just compensation. The lockdowns and social distancing mandates also thwarted the freedom of assembly, which is also part of the First Amendment. So we had this kind of and then there was all these track and trace and these kind of intrusive government intrusions on our private rights that conflicted directly with the Fourth Amendment. Prohibitions against unwarranted searches and seizures. Suddenly you had to give your private medical records to leave the house or to go into businesses. And so, I suddenly felt a companionship among people all over the world, even people whose political posture up until the beginning of the pandemic had been absolutely antithetical to my own. Suddenly I found myself in common cause with leaders all over the world that were willing, who were showing the courage to stand up to these, what I would call totalitarian lockdowns. And Andrew Bridgen was one of the most courageous members of the British Parliament. We saw so much moral cowardice among leaders in the Western world. And so those who demonstrated courage during this period, I did my best to support and to, his infrastructure was trying to isolate them. I wanted to let him know that there were people around the world who supported him.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's a perfect example of how everything's changed when it comes to the political spectrum. Everything is a mess. The fact that you have Robert Kennedy Jr., who's the humanitarian environmental lawyer, being on the same side as a right-wing Brexit conservative, Andrew Bridgen, shows how messed up the system is and how governance in the West has gone completely off track, where you have people on the left and right are uniting behind the same cause, the cause for freedom and self-determination and sovereignty. So, it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. It's a good thing. That means, there's the common ground and there's a bigger fight than just normal policy differences like high taxes and low taxes. But it's also bad and dangerous because that shows the instability of the Western world. And it's completely chaotic. Now, there are people talking about a potential alliance in the next round between Donald Trump and Kennedy. The chaos in the political spectrum. Imagine what the outrage is going to be if you're going to have Kennedy from the Democrat side and Trump from the Trumpian side of the Republicans and GOP, it will completely confuse the system. It will confuse the whole of the establishment, and I'm not really sure if that's going to work. But it's a perfect example of how everything is a bit of a mess. Now, it's all about if we believe in the cycle of doom, or if you believe in a bounce back when it comes to democracies and our sovereignties. But the fight continues, ladies and gentlemen, and this channel will continue to be the voice of people up and down the country. Subscribe to the channel. I'm Mahyar Tousi, and we are the media.